Even more changes this episode, yet the end result is the same, and somehow I'm still happy. Oddly enough, we start this episode with the flashback of Annabeth, Thalia, and Luke getting attacked by the Furies. I like the cuts that we get showing the memory in flashbacks. Then we actually see Chiron trying to paint her death in a positive light by saying that Zeus turned her into something that could protect her friends. But Luke, naturally, is not satisfied. Annabeth wakes up in bed, showing that this was all a dream she was having, right before Allison Sims shows up to take the fleece. In the next scene, we see the Princess Andromeda docked, and the Hippocampi apparently are just leaving, as they just dropped off the heroes. We then zoom in on Aiden, a son of Aphrodite, arguing with the harbor master, and then someone calls him into the back of the building. He thinks it's Allison, but it's actually Tyson, and Clarice calls him out for using Charm Speak, an ability that wasn't introduced until the Heroes of Olympus. It allows people to influence others with their voice, and is most effective when used subtly. The key issue here is that Percy wants to take Aiden's keycard and the invisibility cap to go save Annabeth. Clarice wants to use them to take the fleece back, while Aiden taunts them. In the end, Percy goes to save Annabeth with the cap, and Clarice goes to take the fleece back. Also, they apparently can't use iris messages, but it's not clear why. Cutting back to Luke, who has Annabeth's dagger, Allison walks into the room with the Kronos coffin, having taken it off of Annabeth, and there's a bit of tension when she argues that it's time to put it on Kronos' coffin. Luke just wants to make sure Annabeth is fully healed, but in the end, he caves and puts the fleece on the coffin. Clarice moves in, and so does Percy, but then Percy finds Blackjack on the deck of the ship, and while we can't hear what the Pegasus is saying, it looks like Percy can understand him, and he sets him free after locking one of Luke's demigods in a room on the deck. Meanwhile, Clarice gets caught in the locker room while some of Luke's goons walk in, because apparently Aiden left his Mytho-Magic deck. Percy finally makes it to Annabeth, and he takes off the hat, saying that it's itchy. This is a reference to something that was brought up in Chalice of the Gods, despite the fact that it had never been brought up before then, despite the cap being used frequently. Luke shows up, and Percy has to put the hat back on to hide. Grover and Tyson, meanwhile, are trying to find a way out of there fast as soon as the fleece is found. Eventually, they decide to call Sally. They try to hide what's going on, but she knows the demigod life a little too well and demands the answer out of them. And I love it. Kronos is starting to wake up, and this is when Annabeth tries to win over Luke by telling him that the fleece can revive Thalia because it sent her visions of what it can do. I'm not a fan of this change. This is 2 seasons in a row that the big twist at the end of the book was spoiled prematurely in the show. In the book, it was a Xanatos gambit, a trope meaning that every possible outcome will benefit the schemer. If Luke got the fleece, Kronos gets to come back early. If Percy gets the fleece and puts it on Thalia's tree, Kronos would have another child of the big 3 to potentially fulfill the prophecy in his favor. Are they going to spoil the secret of Nico's parentage before the end of Season 3 too? Despite that, I like that Annabeth tries to use the potential of Thalia coming back against Luke, since Kronos knew and didn't tell him. Back to Clarice, she overhears Allison showing up at the Mytho-Magic game and telling the players that she has orders from Kronos and is going to kill a traitor. With them out of the room, Clarice takes a couple weapons and follows them. In contrast, Percy is the one who finds the fleece. Kronos tries to tempt him with the Great Prophecy, which he gets about halfway through before Percy takes the fleece back. Allison's team goes to kill Annabeth, but Clarice heads them off and beats them 5-on-1. Luke catches Percy and fights him for the fleece. But Luke is clearly the better fighter, and Percy only escapes because he almost knocked down the coffin holding the remains of Kronos. Percy almost gets away via the elevator before Luke stabs him through the closing doors. It's a good moment, though it would be more impactful if Percy wasn't holding the golden fleece, which he can use to heal himself. Maybe it would be different if he was still looking for the fleece, or if he had to make it to some nearby water to heal himself. Clarice meets up with Annabeth, who tells her that Percy is getting the fleece, but Clarice doesn't think he can get it. Back to Percy, he runs the hell away with the fleece, makes it back to the deck, and Blackjack helps to cover their escape. Percy then tells Clarice to take the fleece on Blackjack back to camp, moving past their rivalry and Percy admitting that he used Clarice's prophecy against her at the beginning of the episode. It's really about how if she goes it alone, she will die. So Clarice leaves on Blackjack, and Percy and friends leave with Sally, who just tells them to get in. The heroes try to explain everything to her, but they're talking too fast. Definitely an ADHD thing. They bring her up to speed, but Percy is worried about what Thalia will do if she comes back. Luke may be a little pissed that Kronos didn't tell him the fleece would bring Thalia back, but that doesn't matter because now Kronos is awake enough to torture him into doing his bidding, no matter how much Luke may want to resist. We get one shot of the last Dragonians attacking camp, and Kronos tells Luke it's time to kill Percy. Apparently he's decided that there's no chance of Percy siding with him, and that's where the episode ends. In the preview for next episode, we get several shots of Luke attacking camp, along with one shot of Poseidon meeting with Percy, and the chariot race. Poseidon didn't show up in the book, and that was important because Percy still wanted a relationship with him, and he has to get used to his dad being distant, but doing what he can. The show didn't really have this character arc in Season 2. It was more so covered in Season 1, so that's understandable. Plus, Poseidon shows up in every Percy Jackson book, aside from Sea of Monsters and Wrath of the Triple Goddess. So yeah, a lot more changes were in this episode. While I'm really not a fan of revealing that there's a way to save Thalia before it came up as a twist, I like most of the other changes they went for. There wasn't much going on in the chapters of the book this episode is based on, just Percy giving Clarice the fleece, and tricking Luke into revealing his plan, thus clearing Chiron's name. So expanding it to a full episode with more character and theme works, similar to the past 2 episodes. Though since Chiron was kicked out of camp for a different reason than he was in the book, I'm not sure how they're going to resolve that issue. I'd say more, but it would just be a repeat of what I said in the last episode review. I'm okay with changes for the most part, but I'm a bit worried it will be too much in the future. Regardless, I'm happy with the show as is. I'm Kylan Mythos, and I'll see you all next time.